Hello! I'm going to play some songs for you, and I hope that you enjoy them. This first one is about furniture. Long ago, in days of yore, it all began with a god named Thor. There were Vikings and boats and some plans for a furniture store. It's not a bodega, it's not a mall. They sell things for apartments smaller than mine, as if there were apartments smaller than mine. IKEA, just some oak and some pine and a handful of Norsemen. IKEA, selling furniture for college kids and divorced men. Everyone has a home, but if you don't have a home, you can buy one there. Rent a car or take the bus, lay your cash down and put your trust in the land where the furniture folds to a much smaller size. Billy the bookcase says hello, so does the table, his name is Ingo, and the chair is a ladder-back birch, but his friends call him Carl. IKEA, just some oak and some pine and a handful of Norsemen. IKEA, selling furniture for college kids and divorced men. Everyone has a home. If you don't have a home, you can buy one there. IKEA, plywood, brushed steel. IKEA, meatballs tasting. IKEA, Allen wrenches, all of them for free, all of them for me. And I'm sorry I said IKEA sucks. I just bought a table for $60 and a chair and a lamp and a shelf and some candles for you. I was a doubter just like you until I saw the American dream come true in New Jersey. They got a goddamn Swedish parade. IKEA, just some oak and some pine and a handful of Norsemen. IKEA, selling furniture for college kids and divorced men. Everyone has a home. But if you don't have a home, you can buy one there. Thank you. Thanks. It's very odd to be playing here in a bookstore. Everywhere I look, there are books. It's not usually what I see when I'm playing. I'm going to do a song now. This is about the future, or what the future might hold, or what you might think about the future if you were, let's say, about 12 or 13 years old, and it was sometime in the 1980s, and you were all by yourself, alone in your room, as you spent a lot of your time in those days just reading Omni magazine by yourself. Let's just say. This is called The Future Soon. Last week I left a note on Laura's desk. It said, "I love you," signed anonymous friend. Turns out she's smarter than I thought she was. She knows I wrote it now, the whole class does too, and I'm all alone during couples skate. When she skates by with some guy on her arm, but I know that I'll forget the pity in her face when I'm living in my solar dome on a platform in space. 'Cause it's gonna be the future soon, and I won't always be this way. When the things that make me weak and strange get engineered away. It's gonna be the future soon. I've never seen it quite so clear. When my heart is breaking, I can close my eyes and it's already I'll probably be some kind of scientist, building inventions in my space lab in space. I'll end world hunger, I'll make dolphins speak, work through the daytime, spend my nights and weekends perfecting my warrior robot race, building them one laser gun at a time. I will do my best to teach them about life and what it's worth. Just hope that I can keep them from destroying the earth, 'cause it's gonna be the future soon, and I won't always be this way. When the things that make me weak and strange get engineered away, it's gonna be the future soon. I've never seen it quite so clear. When my heart is breaking, I can close my eyes, and it's already here on earth. They'll wonder, does that piece by piece replace myself? And the steel and circuits will make me whole, but I still feel so alone until Laura calls me home. And I'll see her standing by the monorail. She'll look the same except for bionic eyes. She lost the real ones in the robot wars. I'll say I'm sorry, she'll say it's not your fault, or is it? She'll eye me suspiciously, hearing the whir of the servos inside, and she'll scream and try to run, but there's nowhere she can hide. When a crazy cyborg wants to make you his robot bride, well, it's gonna be the future soon, and I won't always be this way. When the things that make me weak and strange get engineered away, it's gonna be the future soon. I've never seen it quite so clear. When my heart is breaking, I can close my eyes, and it's already here. Thanks. I'd like to take this opportunity to slow it down for the ladies. And first, I suppose I should give a shout out to the ladies. Or no. Before I even do that, I guess I should ask if there are any ladies in the house. Okay, a couple. And then the shout out, and now, so hey, ladies. And now we'll slow it down. I usually have a list that I have to look at to figure that out, but thanks for bearing with me. This is for all of you ladies. I did not write this song, but I'm about to sing it. I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. A girl walks in with an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face. You get sprung, you wanna pull up tough. You notice that butt was stuffed deep in the jeans she's wearing. I'm hooked and I can't stop staring. Ooh babe, I wanna get with you and take your pretty picture. My homeboys tried to warn me, but that butt you got made me so horny. Ooh, rumple smooth skin, you say you wanna get in my Benz. Well, use me, 'cause you ain't that average groupie. I've seen them dancing, to hell with romancing, 'cause she's wet, got her going like a turbo vet. I'm tired of magazines saying flat butts are the thing. Take the average black man and ask him that. She gonna pack much back. So fellas, is your girlfriend got the butt? Tell her to shake it, shake that healthy butt. Baby got back, baby got back, baby got back. I like them round and big, and when I'm throwing a gig, I just can't help myself, I'm acting like an animal. But here's my scandal, I wanna get you home. And whoa, double up, whoa, whoa. I ain't talking about Playboy, the silicone parts are made for toys. I want them real thick and juicy, so find that juicy double. Chinese C's in trouble, begging for a piece of that bubble. I'm looking at rock videos, knock-kneed bimbos walking like hoes. You can have them bimbos, I keep on women like Flojo. Word to the thick soul sisters that wanna get with ya. I won't cuss or hit ya, but I gotta be straight when I say I wanna. Till the break of dawn, baby, got it going on. A lot of simps won't like this song, 'cause them punks like to hit it and quit it, but I'd rather stay and play. 'Cause I'm long and I'm strong and I'm down to get the friction on. So ladies, ladies, if you wanna roll in my Mercedes, then turn around and stick it out. Even white boys gotta shout. Baby got back, baby got back, baby got back. Thank you. It's very kind of you to do all that audience participation. Just goes to show you the goodwill that just a little shout out can engender in a crowd, you know? You know, I'm pretty famous. I'm not that famous, though. I mean, John Hodgman, who is here tonight, and yet is not here, obviously much more famous than I am. He can come to the event without even coming to the event. You know, that's how famous he is. But as famous as I am and as famous as John is, there are people who are yet still famouser. And on and on and on and on, upward and upward, until you reach the upper stratosphere of fame. I'm thinking, of course, about people like Tom Cruise, who is, I mean, he's really famous, you know. And he's gone a little nuts recently, or I don't know, maybe he's always been nuts, and we're just seeing it now in a way that we hadn't before. But I sort of feel bad for Tom Cruise because, you know, I deal with the pressures of fame every day. And, you know, I'm a little bit crazy, so I can't imagine what it's like for poor Tom Cruise. And honestly, the Scientology doesn't help. Let's just be clear about that. But no clearer because I don't want to get sued by anyone. Anyway, this is for Tom, and I really mean it. It's called Tom Cruise Crazy. Tom Cruise is so in love with Katie. At least all his people tell him so. And while he thinks that she's a very special lady, it's probably not the way he'd choose to go. But a lifetime of longing looks would cause too much distraction. Good thing that he's not gay anymore. Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise crazy. Just be glad it's him, not you. If you had Tom Cruise's troubles, you might be Tom Cruise crazy too. You'd flash your big white shiny smile. You'd buy expensive shoes, but you'd be the only man on earth who couldn't enjoy Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is always getting older. He knows he'll never be this young again. And when Tom Cruise looks back over his shoulder, he sees 1,000 younger leading men. And And he knows someday he'll have to play an old retarded grandpa, while someone younger plays his sexy son. And Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise crazy, just be glad it's him, not you. If you had Tom Cruise's trouble, you might be Tom Cruise crazy too. You'd flash your big, bright, shiny smile. You'd buy expensive shoes, but you'd be the only man on earth who couldn't enjoy Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise hopes somewhere there's a place for him, 'cause he's not of this world anymore. Somewhere is some secluded castle, and poor Tom Cruise sits staring at the wall. And the outside world is always such a hassle. He prefers to not go out at all. There are millions who know his name. Everybody loves him. Why is it that he feels so alone? Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise crazy, just be glad it's him, not you. If you had Tom Cruise's trouble, you might be Tom Cruise crazy too. You'd flash your big, white, shiny smile. You'd buy expensive shoes, but you'd be the only man on earth who couldn't enjoy Tom Cruise. Oh no, you couldn't enjoy Tom Cruise. Oh no, you couldn't enjoy Tom Cruise. Thank you. Hodgman's in a green room getting drunker and drunker. Me, just water. From Fiji, you know. So it's time, I think, for a love song. This is a love song that you might write and sing if you were some sort of an evil genius or mad scientist, or maybe a little bit of both. This is called Skull Crusher Mountain. Welcome to my secret lair on Skull Crusher Mountain. I hope that you've enjoyed your stay so far. I see you've met my assistant Scarface. His appearance is quite disturbing, but I assure you he's harmless enough. He's a sweetheart, calls me master, and he has a way of finding pretty things and bringing them to me. Oh, and I'm so into you, but I'm way too smart for you. Even my henchmen think I'm crazy. I'm not surprised that you agree. If you could find some way to be a little bit less afraid of me, you'd see the voices that control me from inside my head say I shouldn't kill you yet. I made this half pony, half monkey monster to please you, but I get the feeling that you don't like it. What's with all the screaming? You like monkeys, you like ponies. Maybe you don't like monsters so much. Maybe I used too many monkeys. Isn't it enough to know that I ruined a pony making a gift for you? Oh, 'cause I'm so into you, but I'm way too smart for you. Even my henchmen think I'm crazy. I'm not surprised that you agree. If you could find some way to be a little bit less afraid of me, you'd see the voices that control me from inside my head say I shouldn't kill you yet. And Picture the two of us alone inside my golden submarine, while up above the waves my doomsday squad ignites the atmosphere, and all the fools who lead their foolish lives may find it quite explosive. Well, it won't mean half as much to me if I don't have you here. You know it isn't easy living here on Skull Crusher Mountain, so maybe you could cut me just a little slack. Would it kill you to be civil? I've been patient, I've been gracious, and this mountain is covered with wolves. Hear them howling, my hungry children. Maybe you should stay and have another drink and think about me and you. Oh, 'cause I'm so into you, but I'm way too smart for you. Even my henchmen think I'm crazy. I'm not surprised that you agree. If you could find some way to be a little bit less afraid of me, you'd see the voices that control me from inside my head say I shouldn't kill you yet. I shouldn't kill you yet. I shouldn't kill you yet. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we're getting close. We're getting close to the time when the man of the hour will come up on the stage and entertain you all with his musings, his literary musings. I think maybe one more, because nobody's waving me off. I'm gonna do one more. Oh, thank you. Oh, that wasn't an applause line. I wasn't seeking your approval. Thank you. It's nice to have it, but I wasn't trying to trick you into clapping for me. You guys were so good with the audience participation last time. I'd like to do some more of that, because I think you're up for it, frankly. This is a song about zombies, and some zombies in his house tonight. Fantastic. Your part is we're put on a little play here. Is what's going to happen. And you guys are the zombies, and I'm going to sing the song. But you guys are a horde of brain-loving zombies. There's a very simple part for you to sing in the chorus. I'm going to teach it to you. I'm going to just run it through once, and then we'll all try it together, okay? Here's how it goes. All we want to do is eat your brains. It's very easy. That's the whole thing. Twice in every chorus. There's like 4 notes in that, and it's about brains, so you should be able to remember it because you're zombies. Let's try that all at once. Ready? The guitar part sets it off. That's how you'll know it's time to do it, like this. All we want to do is eat your brains. Very nice. Very enthusiastic for a bookstore. You're sure there isn't alcohol out there somewhere? Maybe people taking little nips from their flasks. That's actually sounded great. You sound beautiful singing together. I do want to give you one note, which is that you're supposed to be zombies and not a choir of angels. So if you would imagine how it might sound if there were a lot of zombies singing instead of a lot of John Hodgman lovers singing. And really, some of you don't have working tongues and mouths and throats because they've been torn out by other zombies. Also, maybe some of you didn't have a good singing voice to begin with. That's possible. And also, maybe others of you have lost the power of human speech and you just make guttural zombie noises. So there's really a wide range, a lot of different kinds of zombie singing you can do. Feel free to choose one. Really what we're looking for is more chaos, which is, as you know, the zombie's wheelhouse. Let's try it again. Ready? Okay, that's good. That's very good. Some folks over here actually took the extra step of singing the incorrect tempo, which is extra credit for that, for starting early. Again, very accurate. Exactly what zombies always start a little bit early. They're notorious. They're just very eager, you know? So, I'm not going to give you any more notes because that was just about perfect. I'm going to tell you what this song is about, though, which is zombies, i.e., specifically, what's happening is there are zombies outside and humans inside. The twist is that the singer of the song, a zombie, perhaps the leader of the zombies, used to be a co-worker with one of the humans inside, and he's always been kind of a prick, so... Here we go. Hey, Tom, it's Bob from the office down the hall. Good to see you, buddy. How have you been? Things have been okay for me, except that I'm a zombie now. I really wish you'd let us in. I think I speak for all of us when I say I understand why you folks might hesitate to submit to our demands. Here's an FYI, you're all gonna die screaming, oh. We're not unreasonable, I mean no one's gonna eat your eyes. We're at an impasse here, maybe we should compromise. If you open up the doors, we'll all come inside and eat your brains. I don't want to nitpick, Tom, but is this really your plan? Spend your whole life locked inside a mall. Maybe that's okay for now, but someday you'll be out of food and guns, and then you'll have to make the call. I'm not surprised to see you haven't thought it through enough. You never had the head for all that bigger picture stuff. But Tom, that's what I do, and I plan on eating you slowly. Oh, we're not unreasonable, I mean no one's gonna eat your eyes. We're at an impasse here, maybe we should compromise. If you open up the doors, we'll all come inside and eat your brains. I'd like to help you, Tom, in any way I can. I sure appreciate the way you're working with me. I'm not a monster, Tom. Well, technically I am. I guess I am. I've got another meeting, Tom. Maybe we could wrap this up. I know we'll get to common ground somehow. Meanwhile, I'll report back to my colleagues who were chewing on the doors. I guess we'll table this for now. I'm glad to see you take constructive criticism well. And thank you for your time. I know we're all busy as hell. And we'll put this thing to bed when I bash your head open always. We're not unreasonable, I mean no one's gonna eat your eyes. We're at an impasse here, maybe we should compromise. If you open up the doors, we'll all come inside and eat your brains. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome to the stage your friend and mine, John Hodgman. What do you do when you've written a great book that betters the world where you live? Do you retire and rest on your laurels, or do you continue to give? His previous book of complete world knowledge was too short and easy to read. He wrote a new book of complete world knowledge. It's way more than what you'll need.
Good evening. My name is John Hodgman, as alluded to in my theme song. You may recall that a few years ago I wrote a book entitled The Areas of My Expertise, a compendium, thank you, a compendium of complete world knowledge. Now, some were dubious. They asked, how can you fit complete world knowledge into a book that is only 236 pages long? And the answer was very simple. I lied. For indeed, there was more knowledge to be discovered. And in the meantime, my life has gone through a remarkable transformation, where once I was a humble professional literary agent and then professional freelance magazine writer. Through unexpected fate, I have since become a famous minor television personality. And it is as such that I return to you now with more information than you require. A second compendium of complete world knowledge, now extra complete. On such subjects as diverse as the past, as there is always more of it. The future, as there is still some left. All of the presidents of the United States. The secrets of Hollywood. Gambling, the sport of the asthmatic man. Including hermit crab racing. Strange encounters with aliens. How to buy a computer. How to cook an owl. And most other subjects. Now, as this is a new book, I naturally require a new theme song. If you listen carefully, you might hear it now. Here is Jonathan Coulton to tell you everything you need to know about me.
He sells computers and funny commercials in which he plays the PC. He wore a fat suit, he sneezed and fell down once, got nervous about surgery. Even though he's become huge and famous and wealthy, he's counting on you. If your computers are old and clunky, you know what you should do.
Jonathan.
'Cause tonight, you're holding a key that fits in a lock, that opens the door, that shows you a room, that has a TV, that's running an ad, that's making you want a new computer. He sells computers.
Jonathan.
Please buy his computer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan, I really like the new theme song.
Thank you. Thanks.
I'd just like to point out that
Yeah.
I do other things than just those. I mean, I'm very proud to be in those ads, but I have done some other things. Yeah.
Oh, really? I'm sorry. I guess I hadn't noticed.
I find that hard to believe. We've known each other for many years. You were on my first book tour. You opened your song by singing about all the other things I do. It seems unlikely that you don't.
I don't know. I guess, I mean, I kind of thought the book was a joke when you told me about it.
No.
And then, so I sort of phoned in the first verse. I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I guess I just thought you just sold computers.
No.
Now. And I'm on the internet anyway. I don't pay attention to major main media stuff.
Okay, that's true. I mean, I trust you. You know Jonathan Coulton. He is my feral mountain man companion, whom I rescued from the woods of southern Connecticut, where he had been raised by woodland creatures, and I taught him to speak English, and he came around on tour with me. And I taught him all sorts of things, and now he is selling songs on the internet, which I find charming. And he's gained a certain amount of renown, and it keeps him busy with the emailing and everything else, so I understand.
Yeah, and also I'm actually not, I'm not feral.
What?
Yeah, that
What do
was
you mean you're not feral?
Well, that was a joke that you've been telling that joke for a couple of years, and it's not true. I had human parents, and I was raised by humans like most of the people here.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're from Connecticut, though.
Oh yeah, that part is true.
So
Yeah.
you're sort of splitting hairs, aren't you? I mean,
Well, it's actually no. Connecticut's pretty well civilized by now. They have cities and roads, and Hartford is the insurance capital of the East Coast.
insurance. Those people are witch doctors.
That's actually not true.
But I got the thing right about you being internet famous, right? You're
Yeah, I guess
famous
you
on the
could
internet?
say I'm internet.
You don't have any major label representation?
I'm not enslaved to any major traditional media.
You just do it all yourself?
Yes, I do. I do everything.
Out
everything.
of your own hut or hovel or what have you?
It's just an apartment. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, a noble savage.
Hello. Thank you.
Isn't it amazing? Well, I thank you, Jonathan. I am here to present my book, More Information Than You Require, which was published by a major publishing corporation.
Congratulations.
I get only a very small percentage of my earnings on this, so it's good. It's high quality. This book is a little bit different from my previous book. I'd like to introduce you to the new technology that we have in the book so far. I'll leave this one here, and I'll use a display copy. This is the old technology. This is the new edition, the new thing. My previous book was an almanac of complete world knowledge on all sorts of varied subjects. Lots of fascinating trivia and historical oddities and amazing true facts, with the advantage that in my book they were all made up by me. And in the new book, it's pretty much the same. Indeed, my proposal for the new book, when I made it to my publisher, amounted basically to more of the same, but twice as long. And as a result, it is not exactly a sequel, it is a continuation. If you have browsed through the book, you will see that the page numbers in the new book pick up exactly where the page numbers in the old book left off. That is why the first page is number 237. Now, there is another feature that I'd like to introduce you to entice you to buy the new book, which is the fact that I was very frustrated that the old book was not made into a page-a-day calendar, because that's where the money is. We all know most books that you read are a page-a-day calendar. I think most of us, read the page-a-day calendar more than any other book. And I thought with all these little factoids it would make a good one, but no one was interested. So with the new book, I made a preemptive strike by making this book a page-a-day calendar, as well as a regular book. I put a date on top of every page, and then I put a little fake fact about what happened on that date, so that you can enjoy this in the same way that you would your favorite page-a-day calendars, whether it's 365 Jokes or Harold Bloom's The Anxiety of Influence, whatever your favorite page-a-day calendar might be. So if you have a book, let me show you how this operates, please. Please pick up your book if you have one. And today's date, I believe, is October 21st of 2008. And you will see it starts right on the very first page here. And it says, Today in the Past, which is the name of this feature, October 21st, 2008, New York City, this book is officially published. So there you go. And then, thank you. And then because it's a page-a-day calendar, you just rip this out. Go ahead. I understand maybe you don't want to destroy your book before you even bought it. That's fine. But I might point out they actually sell books here. So you can get one copy to tear apart and one copy to keep and preserve for your library. You will want to tear it apart, believe me. You should invest in that second copy. Now, my new book is very useful. It contains all sorts of handy information that you will find useful. How to tell the future by examining a pig's spleen. This is a true old folklore that old farmers, particularly in Norwegian American communities, used to do quite a bit. They would kill a pig and take out the spleen and predict the future. I presume they were smoking hashish at the time or something to figure that out, and I presume the prediction usually was, I don't think this pig will survive. I tell you about how to rid your home of all sorts of common household pests like mice and silverfish and Scottish terriers. You ever have that? There are Scotty dogs in the walls? Oh, it's the worst. They're scampering about, nipping at each other. Interesting fact, you don't have to kill them with poison. Some people find that gross, and I agree, because then they just rot in there. You don't have to kill the Scotty dogs with poison to get rid of them. Here's what you do, a little handy tip. Take the white Scotty dogs and the black Scotty dogs and turn them around the other way from each other, and then they repel one another. Little Scotty dog magnet humor. They still have those? They still make them? I sure hope so, because I was going to tell that joke throughout the entire tour. And of course, I have all sorts of hangover cures that involve gin. But I also have information about current events, such as the presidential election that is about to occur. And I'm going to read to you a portion from the book right now on that very subject, with your indulgence. Some notes on the upcoming presidential election. Last May, I was having lunch with my publisher. I was enjoying a plate of oysters. I think my publisher was eating some kind of salad, but who cares about him? Now, I know what you are thinking. How could you be eating oysters in May? Don't you know that you're not supposed to eat oysters in months that do not contain the letter R? It's a very famous rule of thumb, because warm months that don't have the letter R, June, July, August, are traditionally oyster spawning months. And it is during these months that oysters traditionally beg for their lives when you try to eat them, which I guess some people find distracting in a restaurant and is frankly embarrassing for the oyster. But I don't subscribe to such hypocrisies. When you are eating a creature alive, you ought to expect some screaming. That is the carnivore's burden, after all. And I was explaining all of this to my publisher when suddenly, for some reason, he decided it was time for him to say something. And this is what he said. Did you know that when we publish your next book, it will be right in the midst of presidential election season? Well, naturally, I was very surprised. So I ran home and I consulted my globe, and guess what? He was right. This is indeed one of those years in which we engage one of the great privileges of citizenship, pretending to vote for president. But wait, you say, why do you say pretend? Do we not vote for our president? Is this not a democracy? Well, that is a very confusing way to ask those questions. But the answers, respectively, are, I will explain, of course not, and yes, this is not a democracy. A democracy, after all, is a form of government first developed by the ancient Athenians, meaning alternately rule by the governed or rule by demons. Democracy. So, now, Athenian democracy was perhaps the purest form of participatory government in the world history. Each and every Athenian cast a vote on each and every matter facing his society. Slaves, of course, were not given the vote, nor were women, but curiously, white marble statues were given the vote, even if they were of women, and also urns were allowed to vote. Now, democracy in this context is a noble idea, but you can imagine how, when everyone has a say, even the most simple matters of everyday governance become endlessly complicated. Why, to this day, the Greeks cannot even agree on how to pronounce gyro. The correct pronunciation is gyro. For this reason, our government is not, in fact, a pure democracy in the Athenian model, but a republic. In this system, borrowed from ancient Rome, the day-to-day tasks of statecraft are delegated to a senate. That is, until such time as an all-powerful emperor arises, forces the Senate to heap upon him endless honors and untold powers, and finally returns the republic to decadent, unchecked monarchy. And that is where our president comes in, and our strange way of electing him. Now, though the framers of the Constitution had rejected monarchy, that did not mean that they actually liked people or trusted them to choose their leaders. Instead, the initial plan was for the president to be elected by the Senate, which in turn would be elected by the House of Representatives, which in turn was chosen by the Cottage of Proxies, which in turn was selected by the Chamber of Landowning Gentlemen and their beautiful dogs. Ordinary citizens actually had very little sway at all over the choice of president, though they were welcome to try writing persuasive letters to the dogs. But by the end of the Constitutional Convention, a simpler method of protecting the presidency from the people was suggested: the Electoral College. Now, you have probably heard of Electoral College. Maybe some of you have even visited its campus. It is in upstate New York. It's a very beautiful campus, but I think we have to admit that the town of Electoral is kind of a shithole. Now, you might have reasoned when you cast your vote in November each election year, your little colored ball, called a ballot from the Italian, goes into a giant bucket at the White House like we always learned. And there it's counted equally among every other little ballot. Not so. Nor, as you might think, are the ballots then tallied up by a man wearing purple robes, wearing a bald eagle mask. Nor is the candidate who has earned the greatest number of ballots necessarily awarded the burning crown of the presidency and then required to kill a goat dressed as the imp of tyranny with nothing but his hands and his cornstalk scepter. You may think all of this is true, but you are wrong. First of all, we do not even use the little colored balls anymore. We use paper ballots, and they are collected and shipped to the Electoral College and put into a warehouse deep underground and never looked at again. Then it is time for the actual presidential electors to get to work. Who are these electors? No one really knows for sure. All we know is that they are very special men and women chosen by their state legislatures because they know better than you what you want. They are sent to the college every 4 years in proportion to the population of each state. Then they are shaved all over and put into a sensory deprivation tank full of a kind of nutrient slime. There, held in slimy darkness for weeks on end, they go into a kind of psychic trance and predict who the next president will be. And here is the great genius of our American system. They are almost always correct. Now, some people find that this is undemocratic, but I say no. For one thing, the system ensures balance among the large and small states, ensuring even meaningless non-pro-America states like Massachusetts have some nominal representation in the electoral process. Second, if we shut down Electoral College, what would we then do with these electors? The last thing we need is a bunch of naked, shaved people wandering the countryside, nutrient slime dripping off of them, looking for handouts. No, while the Electoral College may have its flaws, it is at the very least needlessly complex and thus worth preserving. Now, as the election approaches, you may be wondering, how do I vote? And I could tell you exactly how you should vote, but it's between you and the voting booth. Sometimes in that voting booth, you might find a new kind of electronic voting machine. These are machines that take your ballot and immediately destroy it. But don't worry, your intent is carefully remembered by a computer. Now, it's true that these machines are controversial, and there still is a lot of suspicion surrounding them. And this is entirely natural. As we have seen throughout history, it is perfectly normal for people to be a little frightened of new technology that is good for everyone and should never be questioned. Some people are even afraid that hackers might tamper with the computer and the results. But before you let your crazy imagination run away with you, think about it reasonably. Have computer systems ever been hacked before? Maybe, but not more frequently than old-fashioned paper voting has been rigged. So, what are you complaining about? That said, I am somewhat sympathetic to the people who are afraid that the new voting machines are going to give them an electric shock when they touch them. This is going to happen. The powerful electric shock is simply a necessary precaution to prove to a computer that you are a human being and not a robot that has been deployed to fix the election. But the simple fact that you cannot be trusted does not mean that you should not trust the machines. Think of the alternative. In past elections, it might have taken hours to tabulate the results of a single polling place. With the machines, it might take somewhat fewer hours. Moreover, they are less confusing to the average voter. They are as simple to use as an ATM or a ColecoVision or a mechanical Turkish man playing chess. These are the 3 kinds of electronic voting machines that you will discover. And should you have any problems at all, just follow this simple troubleshooting guide. And here we come to a chart in the book, and I will require a volunteer to help me to read the chart. I saw this hand first. Oh, yeah, I saw you before. This is creepy. That's what your memory tells you. Yes, sorry, very well. Will you take this display copy?
Yes.
And you may borrow Jonathan's microphone. Not yet. Wait. Don't go anywhere. I'm giving you some anticipation. So you'll see here, this is a troubleshooting guide. So there's one column for trouble, and there's one column for shoot. I want you to read the trouble column and wait for my reply in the shoot column, but skip this one because it makes no sense. Okay. It's no good. Jonathan, do you mind sharing the microphone?
Not at all, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trouble. The machine does not seem to be working.
Is it plugged in?
The machine is plugged in, but does not seem to be working.
Is the touch screen smashed in?
No, the touch screen is not smashed in.
Then it really should be working. Is the machine turned on?
I see what happened now. The touch screen was smashed in. I am now ready to cast my vote, but I don't see my choice for the president listed among the candidates.
Are you sure that you've made the correct choice? The computer is designed to correct your errors as you make them. So check again and try picking someone else.
I found a candidate I like, but when I touch the screen, nothing happens.
Is your finger very cold? Try warming it up by rubbing it on your jeans.
I have rubbed my finger on my jeans, but it is still not registering my vote.
Are you using your own finger? If you are using a mechanical pointer or a finger you found on the street, your vote cannot be counted.
Why can't I use my mechanical pointer?
Because we need your fingerprints for our records.
I have used my own finger to cast my vote. How do I know for sure that the vote has been counted?
Your vote has been counted. You do not need to ask any more questions. Trouble shot. Thank you very much. Do you want this one? I tore a page out of it. Maybe they'll give you 30 cents off. Or you know what? I'll give you 30 cents as a tax credit. Now you probably are wondering who is going to win the presidential election. Well, it's impossible and ridiculous to even predict. Even now, with just 2 weeks out, so much can happen. In presidential politics, even 2 weeks are an eternity, and hours are roughly 93 minutes long. And in politics, you can't tell what will happen next. Indeed, because of my Hollywood connections, I've actually had a chance to read the final scripts of the election, and I can tell you, you have some surprises coming. Now, I don't want to, be a spoiler, but just to give you a hint of some of the plot lines to come. One of the candidates is going to become unstuck in time. Naturally, one of the candidates is going to reveal a hook for a hand at a very dramatic moment. I'm sure you saw that one coming. And remember, you can never count a Clinton out, even if they're not running anymore. Even if all electoral math, logic, and common sense demands it, and indeed not even if they have lost the election, because it turns out the Clintons have a kind of magic amulet. Now, I don't want to spoil it. I do know who's going to win the election. I don't want to spoil it for you by telling you her name. But I think you could probably guess, if you think through all the precedents of the previous presidents since the time began, I bet you'll be able to figure out a pattern emerging. And here to run through those presidents is Jonathan Coulton. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. No, I'm not. I have to fix my microphone.
Okay, very well.
Now
Did that guy mess it up?
Yeah, total. Well,
Out.
yeah. Washington came first and he was perfect. John Adams kept us out of war with France. Jefferson made a Louisiana purchase. In 1812, James Madison kicked the British in the pants. James Monroe told Europe they could suck it. John Quincy Adams looked just like his dad. Andrew Jackson got rid of all the Indians. Van Buren served one term, but he wasn't bad. William Henry Harrison died early. Tyler annexed Texas from Mexico. James K. Polk fought Mexico to keep it. Taylor was a Mexican war hero. Fillmore gave a boat to Commodore Perry. Pierce repealed the Missouri Compromise. Buchanan saw the Civil War's beginnings. Lincoln saved the Union, then he died. Andrew Johnson just survived impeachment. General Grant thought getting drunk was fun. Rutherford B. Hayes ended Reconstruction. Garfield was assassinated in 1881. Arthur suspended Chinese immigration. Cleveland made the railroad people squirm. Harrison signed the Sherman Antitrust Act. Then Grover Cleveland served another term. McKinley kept the Spanish out of Cuba. Roosevelt was handy with a gun. Taft was big and fat and had a mustache. Wilson kicked some ass in World War I. Harding said, let's laissez-faire with business. Coolidge let the roaring 20s roar. Hoover screwed the pooch in the Great Depression. And Roosevelt beat the Nazis in a war. Your clapping is totally messing me up. Truman dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. Eisenhower kept the commies well in hand. Kennedy was killed by a magic bullet. Johnson murdered kids in Vietnam. Nixon was a sweating, filthy liar. Ford gave Nixon pardon for his crimes. Carter lusted in his heart for peanuts. Reagan won the Cold War and lost his mind. George Bush Sr. poked at Saddam Hussein. Clinton gave an intern a cigar. W's legacy's a work in progress. That is all the presidents so far. In the year 2008, we're out of money. Somewhere surely freedom's on the march. And I don't like to make political statements.
Jonathan Coulton, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
It just makes me want to clap along.
Thank you.
It's really very difficult for me to believe that you're not feral.
Yeah.
I mean, with your crazy mouth harp. And that buckskin shirt and the hat and everything.
Oh, the outfit.
Yeah, the outfit that you wear is that of a feral man.
Well, yeah, but you actually made me wear this. I don't know if you remember that.
I made you wear it, but it doesn't explain why you're wearing it now.
Well,
If you're not-
first of all, now it's my choice to wear it. Mm-hmm. Second of all, the hat. I've grown very fond of the hat. It's very comfortable, and the shirt is very tight and difficult to get off. I actually don't know how to take it off. Is the other problem. So.
And who made you wear that fake beard?
This is actually my beard. It's not a fake beard.
Not true. Not true.
No, it's anyone can pull it after the show.
Yes, that's a good idea.
No, actually, maybe
You know,
not.
it makes you lucky. It makes you very lucky. How do you think this happened to me? Look at me. Look at me now. See? Before I used to look like garbage. Now I am wearing a tuxedo. Frankly, I'm a little surprised that you are not wearing tuxedos. In my day, when a gentleman went out to the superstore, you dressed up. But I guess things are a little more informal now. I'm sorry that I was late. I was doing a television program in your future. You may see it tonight at 11 p.m. Don't worry, nothing terrible has happened in the future. But I had to get back here, and I was late getting back from the future. I think with a time machine, that wouldn't be a problem, but I had to change into my tuxedo first. You may notice I'm also wearing makeup because I was on the television show, and this is what men do in the future. The future is looking pretty good these days. This is my own tuxedo. I own this tuxedo. That's a big difference in my life. I used to have to rent tuxedo like you people. I used to have to rent my pants. As a mere writer, I really didn't have very much money at all. I would, I lived on ramen noodles. I couldn't even afford the water. It was too expensive. I just had to eat the noodly biscuit. And then I would snort the flavor packet. Because, I didn't have a lot of money for designer drugs. Just MSG and dehydrated chicken stock straight to the brain. It was fantastic. But now my life is dramatically different. Not only do I own a tuxedo, not only do I own my own pants, but I buy new pants every day. I'm like Jay-Z. I buy a new pair of pants, I wear them, I throw them out at the end of the day. And that's how life is like to me. It's normal to me. That kind of glamorous life is normal to me. It's as normal as breathing underwater to me now. Oh, I'm sorry. Have you people not had the gill operation yet? That's because you're poor. But a lot of people ask me what it is like to be a famous minor television personality and how it came to be. And so I wrote about it in my book, and I'm going to read to you a little bit about that now, if I can find it in this book. I hope I didn't tear those pages out. No? Oh, yeah, it's in this area, though. Oh, there we go. Some of you may have heard part of this on the radio. If you did, there's new stuff in it, largely about Battlestar Galactica. Until recently, my only experience with Los Angeles had been a visit to Universal Studios as a child. This had been before 1985, because I remember that they still had the Battle of Galactica ride in operation on the Universal Studios tour, a lone chuckle in the back. For those every one of you who don't remember it, this was a portion of the Universal Studios tour when the motorized tour tram left the back lot of the studio and somehow ended up in a space station. And once inside the station, robots would shoot lasers at you. And then two men wearing space helmets would bound out and pretend to kill the robots. Now, I want to be clear. The two men, the rescuers, were living men, not animatronic creations, actual guys, actors, I suppose you would call them. And they would rescue humans several times a day, day after day after day. And they had lines, but they did it in total silence because all of their dialogue was recorded and played over loudspeakers. It had been recorded long ago, presumably by better actors. And I suppose this fact made those actors in the helmets feel very sad and tortured, but it amused me at the time, and it still does. They closed that ride not long after my visit because the TV show it was based on was canceled, and because weird live space mime shows went out of fashion at amusement parks. Now, I may have been the last to see it, and after the ride was over, I sat down on a bench to ponder and absorb this historic moment. And that is when I was approached by a grown man pretending to be Charlie Chaplin. Now, I guess it is some people's dream to meet Charlie Chaplin, or even just someone dressed as Charlie Chaplin. But even then, as a 10-year-old, I found Chaplin's work to be pretty maudlin and cheap. He was no Buster Keaton. And as Chaplin approached, I considered saying so to his face. But there was a problem. At this time in my life, I had very long hair. It was an affectation, and a terrible one. But it was a better affectation, I would argue, than the affectation of dressing up as Charlie Chaplin, even if you were doing it for money. But this was not the problem. The problem was that because I was a small child without a beard or mustache, people routinely thought I was a girl. And this would lead to occasional embarrassing situations, double takes as I entered the men's room, for example, or being referred to as Joan Hodgman, or being expected to kiss Charlie Chaplin on his white powdered cheek. All of these things happened, all of the time. And so the moment came with Charlie Chaplin, after some predictable cane and bowler hat shenanigans, that Charlie Chaplin sat next to me and indicated that he was ready for me to kiss him. And for obvious reasons, his expectations were unspoken, just as mine were quite clear. I did not wish to kiss the fake Charlie Chaplin, but let's just say they didn't call him the little tramp for nothing. He waited me out. It was clear that I was powerless. It was clear what was going to happen. And so, what can I say? I let it happen. So that was my introduction to Los Angeles, a traumatic homosexual silent comedy date rape. At the time, I had no idea why someone would expect a complete stranger to want to kiss him on the cheek just for showing up and sitting down. But now I understand, because now I am on television. Now, of course, I fly to Los Angeles all the time, and I fly in first class, and I see many famous people in first class. Lonnie Anderson. Pretty amazing. I didn't get to sit next to Lonnie Anderson, and after 6 hours, I figured that was probably for the best. I didn't want to have to make conversation with Lonnie for 6 hours. Kurt Russell. Didn't get to sit next to Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell is an extremely handsome man, by the way. I'm a married person, but I love Kurt Russell very much. No eye patch, surprisingly. I guess he regenerated his eye after he escaped from New York. Kurt Russell was a very brave celebrity. He sat in the captain's chair. In first class on American Airlines, you have 9 seats, 2, 2, 2, 2, 8 on each side, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, sorry. And then one right in the middle with nothing else around it except a big screen in the front. And it looks like the captain's chair on the bridge of the Enterprise. And no one wants to sit there because you just want to relax in first class. You don't want to be expected to fly the plane. And it's like a panopticon. Everyone can see you. Kurt Russell was very cool about it, though, I have to say. But I didn't get to sit next to him. Supermodel Rachel Hunter. You know who she is? Married Rod Stewart. She was married to her. She's a very beautiful woman. Very beautiful. I wish I had gotten to sit next to her. You see, I'm, as I say, a happily married person. I don't want to have an affair with Rachel Hunter, but I have to say she was very pretty. And the thing about the chairs in first class is that they recline basically into beds. And at about 2 o'clock in the morning, it was a red-eye flight, and I was awake. I could see she had reclined and she had fallen asleep, and she looked so beautiful. And the guy sitting upright next to her playing Sudoku was such an asshole. Because as I say, I would not, I don't have one of those lists. I don't want to have an affair with anybody. But if I had been sitting there, it would have been socially acceptable. After Rachel Hunter had gone to sleep, for me to recline my chair into a bed and thus lie next to her in sort of fake first-class bed together and fall asleep myself with Rachel Hunter's breath on my cheek. And that's not the biggest aspiration in my life. But you appreciate when you have a 1 in 9 chance of that happening and Sudoku asshole gets it instead of you? That's very enervating. And then finally I got to sit next to somebody, Peter Berg, the director and actor Peter Berg. You might know him as the director of this summer's big hit Hancock. I always think of him as Chicago Hope's Billy Cronk. I wasn't going to say anything to him, because we're cool up in first class, but we were sitting on the tarmac for 2.5 hours, and I didn't have anything to read or do. And that's when Peter Berg reached into his bag, and he pulled out a copy of the novel Dune by Frank Herbert. Yeah. Ooh. What? Ooh? This is a very strange thing to say to express approval in an audience. Ooh. Ooh. It's very unnerving. It sounds very much like boo. It's like you're saying, I late you, but late means like in my language. Sorry to throw you off in the middle of your Peter Berg story. Well, to you, sir, I say, ooh. I'll leave you to guess what I mean. We'll let the ambiguity stand in my case. So I said to Peter Berg, I couldn't help myself. I was like, wow, I wish I had brought a copy of the novel Dune by Frank Herbert to read on this flight. That's a perfect thing to do. And Peter Berg smiled at me, and he pointed at his knapsack, and he said, do you want one? I've got 2 copies. I won't explain to you why I had 2 copies. It's a whole other story. But that's what my life is like now. That's the glamour and excess of my life. Floating above the earth, an extra copy of Dune, and we didn't even read it. We just got drunk. Anyway, sometimes I am asked, how is it that you became a famous minor television personality? And my answer is always the same. I went on television. Specifically, I had written a book, and I was asked to be a guest on a popular television program to promote that book, and that went well. And they asked me to come back on the show as a regular, and I did. And next, I was asked to audition for a series of ads for a computer company, and I got that job too. It's your pretty typical, mundane, overnight Hollywood success story. The only thing that makes it unusual is that it happened more or less overnight and largely by accident. And as a result, I am older and fatter and more wall-eyed and tweedy than most people who are just starting a television career. I'm not being modest. When you are on television, you don't see just the pose that you've perfected for yourself in your own mirror. You see yourself from all angles, clearly and cruelly, as if you were in the body of another person. Here are some of the words that internet blogs have used to describe me. With affection. Pudgy, chubby, round, stout, tubby, portly, and cutie. This last one came from a website that includes a regular feature that maps celebrity sightings in New York City. And in this case, the anonymous tipster reported accurately that I was taking the B train south from my observatory on the Upper West Side, where I then lived. I don't live there anymore, so don't look for it. Now, here's what happened from my point of view. I was riding the train. I had been wearing my brown jeans and brown coat, an outfit that a neighbor of mine had said made me look like a UPS delivery man. And I was just deciding at that moment never to speak to that neighbor again when a woman got on the train. And she gave me a quick double take, as if I were a girl in the men's bathroom. And then a man came on the train and did the same thing. Now, which one was it? Which one of my fellow travelers was the anonymous tipster? I will never know. Neither of them seemed drunk or insane, and yet one of them must have been the one who told the internet that I was a cutie. Whoever it was, they then went on to note that I also looked like a UPS delivery man. So here's a fashion tip from the stars. No brown jeans, ever. After that, these unexpected brushes with fame, in which unexpectedly I was the famous person, started happening with some frequency, such as this sighting at the Radio Shack in the Big Y Plaza, Greenfield, Massachusetts. A young guy at the counter asked me to autograph an old receipt. What are you doing here? He asked in a voice that contains a host of further questions, such as, what are you doing in Massachusetts? What are you doing in Greenfield? What are you doing in the Big Y Plaza at Radio Shack? Answer, I was buying speaker wire. Northwest Airlines flight from Philadelphia to Minneapolis. Soon after closing my eyes to go to sleep, I hear a click and see a flash. My eyelids briefly light up, blood red. I open my eyes and look across the aisle. A 10-year-old child is putting his camera away. He had photographed me while sleeping. I asked for him to be removed from the plane. But I am refused as we are already in the sky. West Side Highway in the 20s. 2 men in a brown Chrysler pull up alongside my car. When spotted, double thumbs up. The Museum of Television and Radio, New York City. I go to a party to celebrate the new season of Battlestar Galactica. Not the old version that had the ride at Universal Studios, but the new one in which the robots are erotic, finally. I am here because I had written about the show for a national magazine back when I was merely a professional writer, before I had ever been on television. And now at the party, I'm enjoying catching up with one of the show's creators, whom I had met when writing the article, and I'm trying to offer him my congratulations on the success of the show, not trying to geek out too much over the fact that I'm there, but he isn't listening. He wants to know how it happened. How had I gone from writing about TV to actually being on TV? And I explained it to him as I explained it to you. And then I confess I felt a certain shame that I had leapt past thousands, millions of trained actors and journeyman performers to get a job that I had not earned. I did not pay any dues as an actor. I did not even need to work, for example, many long and silent days in the Battle of Galactica ride wearing a space helmet. At that very moment, a waiter passing a tray of cocktails with luminous sci-fi ice cubes in them comes by and says he hopes I'm feeling better, and it takes me a moment to realize he is referring to a television advertisement in which I pretend to have a sneezing fit. I laugh and I tell him thank you. Then, like a sneezing fit, it does not stop. One person after another comes up to me, talking about the ads, figuring out who I was, wanting to say hello. Soon, an Academy Award-winning actress is shaking my hand and congratulating me for a job well done on television. It is very fun, but it is also very confusing for me, and I think for everyone there. Suddenly, no one knows why I am there anymore. I don't fit in. What role am I supposed to be playing at this party? Am I a journalist? Am I a fan? Or am I now a minor E-list TV personality there to lend the party a little E-list buzz? This kind of hierarchical uncertainty is unwanted at any party, never mind a television party. And I worry that I am somehow ruining the night for my space friends. The first moment I can, I sneak away and I go home alone in the rain. Citing Apple Store, Soho. General store-wide freakout. When you are a young person, all this feels inevitable. Most people our age and a little younger feel that it's inevitable that they will be on television, or like an astronaut, or the president. It is hardwired into every gland, this ambition to be known and renowned. And then, of course, you grow older, pudgier, stouter, portly. You have children or get a job or are drawn by fate to one life or another. Only the deranged don't notice that the possibilities for their life are narrowing, and only the happy look around and say, that's fine. I accept that I will never be a famous minor television personality. At least I have written this wonderful book of fake trivia. I am happy. Then, just when you've discarded the last shred of a shred of a shred of a fantasy, say, of being an astronaut, it is unsettling to have someone knock on your door and say one day, time to go into outer space. You don't get used to it. You put on the spacesuit and you learn to eat dehydrated food, and you learn to poop while floating upside down, but you never feel like you're really supposed to be up there orbiting the Earth. And honestly, now that I think about it, you don't even have to go into space at all to get this feeling. You can get the same feeling just by being asked to pretend to go into outer space, for example, by doing a cameo appearance in the new Battlestar Galactica, which is exactly what happened to me. These days, when I come to LA, it is not traumatic. It is a lovely city, and especially so if you are on television. Recently, I was there, and I stayed in a very fancy hotel. The woman at the door greeted me by name before I even checked in. When I had drinks in the lobby, a short man and a tall woman called me over to say, we just want to say thank you. You are great on television. That's a lovely thing to have happen. And I stayed in a room where I've been told a famous person died. Naturally, I saw a number of other celebrities there. I really shouldn't tell you. I'll tell you their names. I already spilled on Peter Berg. There's no way he'll ever hear that story. He lives in New York. First, I rode an elevator with Jerry Stiller. Yes. He had just been out lying by the pool. He was in a robe, and the elevator was very hot and small. And the whole experience combined to make it feel as though I was wearing Jerry Stiller. The next sighting came as I was checking out of my room. My room had a private entrance to the street. I had pulled up my car and was putting my suitcases in the trunk, getting ready to leave. The door to the next room opened, and a man came out, and I nodded to him. Just a couple of fellow guests in the hotel. Neighbors, really. It was Justin Timberlake. "Good morning," I said, and he was startled. I don't mind telling you that Justin Timberlake was intensely disturbed by this. This intrusion. He literally recoiled and sort of grunted. And as Justin Timberlake grunted at me, I understood in a way I never could have before what I had done to this poor millionaire superstar. I made him feel trapped and cornered and vulnerable, and I felt terrible about it. Even as I followed him down the street, screaming his name, trying to take a picture of his vagina. I felt terrible about it. Every time I leave that hotel, I'm not sure that I'm going to get to stay at it again. Television came along and cast this spell on me, and it would be naive to imagine that the spell could not break just as quickly. I mean, that's a Hollywood story, right? To be discovered out of nowhere and then to be forgotten. That's showbiz. As a matter of fact, sometimes now, if I'm feeling tired or a little sad, I'll go put on my UPS man outfit and hit the subway. I'll hope that maybe someone will recognize me. It's very embarrassing, isn't it? Most of the time, it doesn't happen. No matter how crowded it is, no one says anything. They're reading or talking or thinking about where the train is taking them next. They don't say anything to me at all. And that's when I sit back and I look at them all and I think to myself, don't any of you have a television? What is wrong with you people? I'm fucking sitting right here.
You've never had a great big battle until you've battled Galactic. The ragtag fleet is a little bit rattle-trapped. Please don't battle Galactic. Adama is a world-weary, battle-worn admiral. First mate's a little like John McCain. Starbuck is a hothead, Apollo is sensible. There's a lot of unresolved sexual tension there. And even as the Cylons hunt us, they do it in a sexy way, and they are helping us explore the difference between man and machine, the very nature of our own humanity. So say we all.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Jonathan Coulton. I appreciate your kind attention. Time is short, so we are going to proceed to the signing of book phase. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, so long as they are appropriate, as you come by to have your book signed. And I really am very grateful for you guys to come out. This is the day the book has been published. It's been wonderful to get the reception. A lot of this stuff I have barely read aloud before, and some of it I never will read aloud again. But mostly I'm very glad to see you. Thank you very much. That's all.